Back to the ML Sports Platter, and it's all brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Burn Dairy, and our good friends over at Rosie's Corner. We bring him in, the ESPN college basketball analyst, Seth Greenberg. You can get him on Twitter, of course, at Seth on Hoops. Does such an amazing job each and every night on the Worldwide Leader. Seth, welcome back to the ML Sports Platter. A little different now in phone interviews. We got videos. We do it all kinds of ways, but welcome aboard, man. Continue to love your work.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And big time background you got there. I see those sticks are ready to go, but it's a little cold outside. But
yeah,
the sun will come out eventually.
Yeah, we're waiting on the golf season. That's for sure. My other background is Bills on this side, so I don't want to do that. It just gets me depressed. But let's get to Syracuse here. I mean, what do you like most? What do you like least about the Orange? The ACC, right? It's kind of Carolina up here. Then you got the next deck of Duke, Virginia, and then all these teams, are kind of together. How about the Orange so far this season, best and worst?
Yeah, I think that Clemson would probably be in that second tier right now, and I think that Syracuse is right at the top of the third tier with a chance to play their way in. The schedule is going to give them opportunities. I mean, J.J. Starling making shots is the best right now. If he can make shots and complement Judah, that's going to be huge. And I always say Bell, Taylor, and Brown, two of those three have to play well. I think they're starting to defend with a better purpose. I like the freedom that they're playing with, and the reason being is that the pace that they're playing at gives them a chance to score easy baskets and enhances what they do well in terms of making plays on the run. The two things they probably got to tighten up is real simple. They got shot selection. You can play fast, but you still got to shoot good shots. Shot selection's got to continue to be good, and they got to take care of the ball. Now, I thought a big breakthrough in the Miami game was the 13 assists because it showed that Judah, when people tried to take him out, whether it's on ball screens or whatever, you got to trust your teammates. You got to make the right play. You can't chase plays because, the ball's in your hands. And those 13 assists, to me, reflected a great trust in his teammates. And it paid off in a big-time shot by Q and a huge win.
The NIL transfer portal, it's just such a different world, these days. I mean, everybody's kind of a free agent. We've seen some coaches in both college football and basketball maybe retire a little bit early because it's just such a pain in the neck to deal with. Do you think that will happen, Seth, moving forward, where coaches kind of get exhausted by it, retire early because it's too much? And how would you, do you think, handle it if you went back into coaching? Would you approach it a certain way?
It all depends on the person. I mean, it's part of the job. It's no different than scheduling. It's no different than recruiting. It's no different than game preparation. It's just another thing that's on your plate. Now it's, you got to meet with boosters and help, raise money for your collective. You got to, go in and cultivate people in the community 12 months a year, 7 days a week. I mean, that's just it's another part of your job description in a lot of ways. So what I would do is I would try to, the easiest way for me I would say do it, depending on what level you're at. When you're at Syracuse, you probably need over $1 million a year, maybe $1.5 million. I mean, big picture. And, in other places, mid-major, you probably need 500,000 and you need to get 10 guys to give you 50 grand a piece and tie it into community service, reading programs, clinics, and everything else. And you go through corporations to do it. But if you don't embrace it, you're foolish. You've got to have a good support system behind you, whether it's within the athletic department or even your wife sometimes, because they're going to have to host and entertain people at your house. It's easier for, say, Adrian Autry to ask someone for help than it is someone in the athletic department, because Adrian Autry is the head coach. People want to satisfy the head coach. It's just the way it is. It's a direct contact. But it is what it is until we have contracts. Until we change the makeup of college basketball and college athletics in general. You see what's happening at Arizona, where there's a potential that, they're going to put their football program up for sale because they got a $250 million deficit. Well, we're going to find out what teams are worth. If that happens and that actually goes through, people say, well, this sport and this sport, you got to treat exactly the same. You're going to find out, what the values aren't the same, because it's going to be a business. It's going to be outside entities buying these teams on campus and then, renting the facilities, hiring coaches, dealing with contracts and NIL. So there's a lot to it. But if you don't embrace it, If you don't understand, it's part of your responsibilities. It's part of your job description. If you don't understand it, then you should get out because it is part of your job description now.
ESPN college basketball analyst Seth Greenberg with us here on the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by CH Insurance and Stanley Law Offices. And you can get him on Twitter, of course, a great follow there at Seth on Hoops. We still have, I guess, 10, 11 conference games left or so. We're at the point in time of the season, as you know, Seth, you lived it, you experienced it. Every game is so huge. About a month plus to go, then the conference tournament, Selection Sunday, and all the rest, really into the heat of it now. Do you have a few teams somewhere, where you say, whew, I'm already seeing that look. I don't want to play these guys the rest of the way. Do you have a couple in a group where the dangerous part is already out for these clubs?
Well, I mean, nationally, there are certain teams you don't want to see. If you talk about the NCAA tournament, you don't want to see teams that are hard to prepare for. The physicality of how they play, they can pose their identity on the game just in general, whether it's an Iowa State or a Houston or a Connecticut or, teams of that nature, maybe the potential of an Arizona because of the speed they can play with, even though they don't defend consistently, which is an issue, but they are fairly talented. North Carolina, the way they're playing right now, their use of the portal was terrific. They got Harrison Ingram, who's a big-bodied stretch four. They got Cormac Ryan, who can make shots and committed to defend. They got the Withers kid from Louisville, who has bought into his role. Paxton Wojcik has bought into his role. They've gotten experience and depth. But in terms of teams that maybe are outside, like Alabama is a team you're not going to want to see. They're playing really well right now. They're really hard to prepare for in terms of the speed they play with. Wisconsin's a team you're not going to want to see because they've got more athletic with A.J. Storr, who's at St. John's, and the Blackwell kid. Storr's really, really good. He complements Hepburn really well. And they got an experienced front court. That's a team. You probably Ole Miss is an interesting team. And the job that, Chris has done in 1 year flipping their roster, they got 3 veteran guys, and Jeremy Brakefield is very, very good. I guess Morel's a junior, but another guy, and Alan Flanagan, a fifth-year guy. And then they got those 2 big guys that can protect the rim. So there are teams out there across the country that are still getting better. This is the time of year you got to fight the doldrums of February. February, you're going to see some ugly games, but I think that it's really important to keep your team engaged. If you keep your team engaged by maybe adding some things, by changing some of your routine up a little bit, you can get through the doldrums because you can't afford a bad loss in February. Just can't afford a bad loss. You got to steal wins. I would spend a ton of time on specials, underneath side, dead balls, short clock, all those things this time of the year. And you got to play some kind of mind tricks with your guys because here's the deal. There's so much pulling at these kids. Winning's got to somehow, some way be the most important thing because right now with the NIL and the portal and everything else, you've got their workout guy. You've got their grassroots coach. You've got their parents that want to monetize their kids. You've got NIL. You've got collectives. You've got school. You've got, maybe, social media. There are all so many things. Well, where does winning fit in that?
Yeah.
Where is like being a winning player and doing whatever you have to do and embracing a role? Where does that fit in that? So this time of the year, you've really got to make sure your locker room is good.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know you're a big dog guy. On your profile picture, you got a sweet little pup there. Who's that?
Well, Jake's passed, but that's my man, Jake the Wonder Dog. He was a rescue dog that just good man, my man Jake. He
Black Lab?
He Black Lab Border Collie, and he was wandering the streets up at the West Virginia border. And people had helped us do some stuff around our house in Blacksburg. We're traveling up that way, and he was literally on the highway. And they brought him to the shelter. And then when they came back from that trip, they checked to see how he was doing, and he was still at the shelter. And we just lost our other dog, who was also a rescue dog, to an aneurysm. And they brought him home. We were playing Duke that day, actually. I come home from shoot around, and my girls are all, two of them are in school, one's in high school at the time, and all three of them are there, which they'd never be there, game day. I come back from shoot around, and they're all sitting on the stoop of the house, and they're all laughing and giggling. I'm about strung up like as tight as humanly possible, and they, Dad, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. So I don't want to sit down. I want to go upstairs. I want to go inside, have a cup of soup, kind of block things out, go sit down. And I finally sit down. They open up the door, and here's my man Jay comes out, puts his head in my lap, and
Huh.
that was it. We were together for 11 years. But
Wow.
dogs are great. They're better than humans.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Do you have another one now, or?
No, we're at this spring. We are, during the season, it's hard, put a lot of pressure on my wife, but we're definitely going to get another one, and we're going to get another black lab border collie. They're,
All right,
they're
that's
smart.
cool.
They're smart dogs, and it'll definitely be a rescue.
That's cool. Well, I apologize. I didn't know that he had passed.
Oh, that's all right.
Dogs are they're pretty unbelievable. My golden retriever actually is on the couch in the other room. He's actually behaving right now because I took him out for the morning walk because I knew I had to tire him out because I had a huge interview with my guy Seth Greenberg here, ESPN college basketball analyst, just does unbelievable work. Seth, great to catch up again here. I love the background and a lot of prized possessions back there, and we'll continue to watch you here as we get close to one of the best months in sports in March, of course, and you can follow Seth on Twitter at SethOnHoops. Really appreciate the time. Take care, and we'll hopefully see you in upstate New York real soon.
I'll be there on the 7th. I got the Syracuse game on the 7th. See my man Red Archery.